Guys, we're back. Before we do anything, I just want to play a quick bit of audio for you guys from our YouTube channel. Just a quick second here. Just, ladies and gentlemen,
Don't watch.
can you hear that?
No,
we cannot.
You can't? Ooh, hold on a minute. Okay.
Is this why you brought me on today so last second?
No, hold on.
Still can't hear it.
God dang it. Anyway,
Start to the episode.
I was trying to get audio up of Mike's prediction for the Habs and Leafs, aka the one guy. Yeah, so can we get a 20-second video since 2 minutes? I believe one of the words you used to describe the Leafs were an absolute wagon. I believe you said Leafs in 5. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Mike.
So that's why you want me on.
Hey,
Why you want
Pretty much.
No.
We can go now.
There's some Leafs news today, and we thought you'd be free. After I had asked the guys, like, do we want to have Mike on? I just had a flash of brilliance. Like, I have to play his prediction. Don't worry. Whenever we have Christopoulos and the others on, they're all going to pay their dues.
who did Chase say?
Chase also said the Leafs. He said
Okay.
Caulfield would have some good games, which he did, but
Mm-hmm.
it was only the only ones who said Montreal were Will and Lara.
They were acknowledged already on the Twitter.
Because they're great people. Anyway, how are you, Mike?
I'm just chilling, man. How are you boys?
I think we're fine. We're enjoying hockey. It's a
Different
good
background,
sport.
Mike. I just realized you have.
Yeah, I'm in my parents' office. I told them I'm taking over their office because I wanted to seem. I'm not actually a Giants fan
Moving up.
or
in the world.
evidently a Leafs fan.
Not anymore.
You're a Sens fan, yeah.
Anyway,
No.
Oh, he's a
Sens.
great.
Oh, he's a Rangers
Sens,
fan.
Rangers, Golden
think-
Knights,
yeah.
Sabres,
Sabres.
Bruins,
Everyone
Packers,
but New Jersey.
and the Islanders. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So whoever is winning the game, Mike's hopping on that bandwagon.
I might be a Lightning fan soon.
He's been the longest Lightning fan I know.
So, Mike, I think before we get going here, we'll start the show talking about the Habs series right now. But I think we do have to ask though, what are your thoughts on how that Leafs series went in their heartbreaking Game 7 loss to the Montreal Canadiens? After, I will remind you, it was 3-1.
It took me a while to come to terms with it. I'm not gonna lie. I had a pretty good podcast episode about it myself. I swore a bit, got a little angry, yelled at a couple players, did my whining and crying. Before you guys brought me on, I actually told myself I wasn't going to talk about them for 2 months unless anything newsworthy happened. But apparently newsworthy stuff happened that I was invited on. So
Yes.
I will talk about news. I will not. But other than that, like outside of this, that's it. 2 more months of no. I hate the Leafs right now. And it's not me. It's them.
Alex,
When you get broken up and they're like, it's not you, it's me. No, it's them, not me.
Yeah.
in 2 months, Alex, let's just get that bookmarked on the calendar, right?
What's today's date? What's today's date?
Yeah.
August 16th. No
All
more
right.
Leafs
Oh,
talk.
yeah, yes, maybe training camp, maybe.
Maybe training
Maybe
camp.
training camp? Okay, that's like what, 3 months?
Yeah, it's what is it normally, like mid-September, around there. Anyway, guys, we'll get into it here. The third round, it's going. It's fun. Well, some people would beg to differ. Anyway, though, we've enjoyed it. Starting in, I almost called it the Western because it's not the Western Conference even. It is the underdog versus, I don't know if I've ever seen a series with odds so slanted one way, but Vegas take game 1 over Montreal. And I think my first thought watching was, oh boy, the Habs have no answer to this Vegas defense. And you can tell just how badly they're missing Jeff Petrie already.
Definitely. Also, the Shea Weber injury as well. He was pretty shaken up with that left hand.
He's been, I don't remember the last time Shea Weber played with one good hand. It's been so long now.
It seems like the theory about the North Division might be true.
It's been one game.
Adam is
even if it was Toronto, like it's like watching Tampa, New York, and Vegas play is just a completely different ball game.
There was no defense whatsoever in the North Division.
There was not, no.
There was none.
Before we move forward, is Shea Weber Jamie Lannister?
Well, no, I think no, because Shea Weber's always been kind of humble. Jamie Lannister had to take some licks first. You know, the redemption story started once he lost his hand. Shea Weber has already been on this journey. Well, it is kind of funny that the first time he's ever in the third round is with one hand. You can throw Petrie in there. Did you guys see the video of Mark Bergevin making sure that the camera slot on the glass?
The hole, he was plugging the hole.
It was like 2 minutes too. Like he plays with it in, out, calls someone and goes back to it. I don't know what he was doing there. Another player, I don't know what he was quite doing, is that episode where I was like, you know who should probably get some Conn Smythe consideration? Ben Sherratt. That's gone down the drain very quickly.
Okay. We need to
Like your Nathan
praising
McKinnon
players.
argument about being the best player.
Well, no, remember I was mocking Mark Stone, hoping the jinx would go the other way.
He's the best player in the world.
We should really stop complimenting players on this show. Like it's just gone downhill.
Well, we're going to have to compliment Shea Theodore, though. That fake, I think that may have been... Do you remember a couple of years ago when Ovechkin had that? He was wide open for a one-timer. I think they were on odd man rush. He fakes it and gives a pass to Orlov, I think it was. And it was one of the most beautiful fakes I've ever seen. Like I saw people trying to blame Price on that one, but it's like Shea Theodore, who already scored, is wide open in the slot. Everyone thought he was going to shoot that puck. Like my lord, like that was a dirty, dirty goal. I wasn't even mad about that. It was so filthy.
That Vegas defense is just nuts.
Oh man,
like, just everyone was firing on all cylinders, and it's interesting too because like this playoffs has really seen. I mean, they brought in Alex Pietrangelo to be their big boy, their big man on D. I mean, you have Shea Theodore, but Pietrangelo is a number one D man, and he didn't have the greatest regular season, including getting embarrassed by McKinnon in the outdoor game.
Yes.
But this playoffs, he's looked just revolutionary. He's looked like he woke up.
That was the big difference maker in the game last night. It was the Vegas defense. I mean, how often is Nick Holding going to get you a goal? But I remember back in when they first signed Pietrangelo, we talked about, man, Pietrangelo and Theodore, just like you got those two options. And then you forget like McNabb is just a puck eater, the way he just soaks up every shot going his way. He's a gamer. Like, you remember he was like that big identity back in his LA Kings days, and he just fits right in with Vegas too. It's disgusting. And then it's just like, oh God. And then there's Mark Stone just being a complete force. Fleury. Honestly, I think the first period, I thought Montreal were just completely buzzing. I don't think they missed a step from their time off. But Marc-Andre Fleury was he's such a fun goaltender because he's just like a fish.
I really enjoyed watching the duel of the fates, duel of the goalies series here. It's been really nuts. I mean, especially because Montreal, like they just started off so dominant that first 10, 11 minutes before the icing, I think, through. Yeah, they just looked like a monster before, like you texted before that goal where Gustafsson screened Price a little too much, and there you go. Momentum zapped.
That's what it was. It was like either Sherratt screen Price, the bad icing, which I think came from Sherratt, Gustafsson getting in the way. Like every single goal against Carey was just like, what is he supposed to do? And like that glove save he made on Mark Stone, you're like, holy, like
gross.
It gives you those flashbacks of like, man, just get him some goal support. I was so nervous the entire first period because I'm just like, anytime Vegas went on the rush, I'm like, no one make any contact. We've been here before. Like watching game 2 of the Islanders and Tampa, when Braden Point was pushed into Varlamov, I was like, I know how you feel, guys. Lord, I hope he's okay. Oh, anyway, though, last note we can talk about on Montreal. I want to mention here is how far do you guys, I'll ask Daniel here first. We don't know exactly who is in when it comes to Jeff Petrie and what's going on with Jake Evans. Dom Ducharme saying that's a game time decision. How far do you see the series actually going if Montreal can't get their premier defenseman back here?
Ooh, I don't know. It's weird because we never know how to say like we can't doubt them or anything, and it is only game one. But if I'm going to look at that as a primary thing, I'll say 6 games right now. I think Montreal could do what it can to, if they get healthy, if they get consistent, and they put up a fight, that they play their game.
Let's say they don't have Petrie, though. Let's say Jeff Petrie is not back until, let's say, it's a projected game 5. How do Montreal fare there? Because, again, that's the whole argument is you look at Vegas' defensemen, how they can help in the play. The only guy who can really do that for Montreal right now is Jeff Petrie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
I'm still going to stay with 6 games. I think that Montreal's going to recoup from what game 1 looked like, and they're going to break out a bit. They're going to play their game, and we'll just see how that goes. But 6 games, but I don't know. I've doubted Montreal too much in these playoffs that I don't trust my predictions anymore.
Alex, then Mike.
I said 6 games last episode. I'm still going to go with 6 games. I just believe that Carey Price can literally steal you a game or 2 if he wanted. And I think he's going to do that this series.
Mike.
I think 6. I think it's like I keep saying, it's a duel the goalies between these two guys who are just absolute monsters. But at the same time, Montreal's always been playing kind of with a chip on their shoulder their entire playoff run here. But this is like a whole new level of it. Like before it was like, okay, we're playing the top of our weak division. Then we're playing the Jets and destroyed them. But this one is like, wow, this is like a machine. Like this is Vegas. These guys beat Colorado of all teams. The Leafs didn't beat anyone. Winnipeg, they beat McDavid. Yeah. But like, this is like, wow, like they beat Colorado. This is the team of destiny. So if anything, I think watching Montreal play with a whole new kind of energy, especially because like we're seeing Josh Anderson play with so much more speed and intensity than I think I saw him in all the Winnipeg series because they kind of just cruise past them. Something I haven't seen in a while. It just this whole team just looks so much more elevated to push for a victory. So I'll still hand it to Vegas, but it's not something they're just gonna go out and get. They're gonna have to earn it really hard, I think. So I'll give Montreal props, despite the fact that I'm not gonna support them as Canada's team. No offense.
Yeah, no one likes that take. No, it's the worst thing in sport, especially, and it feels like it only happens in hockey.
We used the Sens argument, remember?
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure all of us went for the Ducks in 2007.
I just want to point out that this is purely a Canadian thing. This happens in no other country around the world. Like if this were to happen, and like I told Mike last night, I said if they lit up like Parliament Hill in Leafs colors, I would be offended on behalf of Senators fans because like that's just you don't do this. I don't care if it's federal property or not. It is in Ottawa. Like it has regardless to do with team, man. It's just if this were to happen in European soccer, it would be a bloodbath.
It would be if you were to put a comparison to it, just to make it evident how dumb of a take it is. That would be like if you're rooting for, let's say, Champions League. Yeah. Barca and Madrid are in Champions League, and one of those two are knocked out. You're going to tell me that Barca is going to root for Madrid or Madrid is going to root for Barca just because they're Spain's team? Absolutely not. That would cause riots.
I will say this, though. Being a Habs fan, it is really funny seeing everyone get so mad about it. About like the CN Tower in Niagara Falls. I love it, though.
It's like they took the capital. Sure. You know what I mean? Like not the capital itself. And like it's like they went in and invaded Toronto.
Yeah. By the way, I will say this. I wasn't surprised Montreal lost game 1, by the way. I want to make that very clear. Anyway, and I still think they're going to win. It's not going to. Sure. Before you do, though, I want to say one thing because I know I'm going to forget about it.
Yeah.
shout out to Cole Caulfield and his family getting to see the goal. Because think about everything he's done this year, World Juniors and that. Great year in college. And now, obviously, in Wisconsin, his brother played with him, but his parents and that didn't get to see any of his big games until game one. I thought that was wicked. Really happy for him. You love those scenes that we've really missed about fans in the stands. Go ahead, Mike.
Brock.
Yes, good old Brock Caulfield.
If Petrie does draw into the lineup, that means probably you're taking out either Kulak, Gustafsson, or Romanov.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you taking out?
Kulak. Gustafsson, rough on the screen, yeah, but I think in the back half of that Jets series and towards the end of the Leafs one, I thought he really picked his game up. And the power play is undeniably has been a lot better since he got in. That's probably the only other defenseman. And you got to think if Petrie comes in, he is playing with dislocated fingers. He may be able to carry the puck, but he's not going to be able to shoot. You're not going to take out Romanov. Like that hit on Pietrangelo, and he was making the smart plays. He wasn't nervous. So Kulak has just been a bit too meh. Like what else does he bring that the others do? Like I don't think he has a unique enough skill set. And plus his inconsistencies are just at this point, like you got to go with your best players at this point. I see Kulak coming out.
The important thing because Petrie is just an all around, like he's been the Habs' offensive dynamo on the backhand, but like you see Gustafsson, he's got the ability to run a power play. You see Romanov, who's brought physicality and like energy, really type player. Kulak is just kind of more of to me, I feel like just an all around solid player. So he doesn't bring anything specific to the table, whether it's offense or defense. So I think, I would agree with you on that one for sure.
I love you, Kool-Aid. You know I do. Moving on to the Islanders in Tampa Bay, though. Game one was very much a Tampa weren't horrible, but the way. But John Cooper said it was there were some mental mistakes, and a notification from The Athletic popped up here, and it was, quote, a total team effort, 5 reasons Tampa Bay, even the semifinal series with the Tampa Bay, with the Islanders. First off, though, I think we need to talk about, in the notes I have, sacre bleu, that goaltending interference call on Brayton Point. Because I think it was Pelech was the defenseman who hit him in. How in the world did Point get a penalty for that?
Brutal. Like, I don't even know. How do you watch that and say, yep, Point's fault?
They said it was like, apparently he had cross-checked Varlamov.
What? It was like all momentum when Adam Pelech hit him.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, what is he supposed to do? Lean in with his shoulder and just full on body check him instead? Like, he's trying to break it. He's trying to break the impact there. That was one of the dumbest calls that I've seen in the playoffs in a very long time.
It's also not very good that 2 games into a third round matchup that the refs seem to be the biggest talking point, because we had another controversial show. By the way, it was hilarious that the Islanders scored on that power play. I couldn't stop laughing about it. Didn't matter because Tampa took control. Though also the Tampa goal was 7 skaters on the ice. Yeah. And Bear, did you see on Sportsnet? Naturally, they had the clip of it, right? And it was like Barry Trotz frustrated. They changed the thumbnail 3 times on it. The first one was just Barry. Then it was like they kept, one was like they showed all 7 skaters and circled them. Like they just tried to make it all cartoonish. Then they changed it again to have the video coach or one of the assistants holding up the iPad. Man, the New York Saints, as they're called, are not happy with this. But just I think it's been a fun series. Regardless, again, others have different opinions, but also credits to the Islanders. We should also mention in game 1, limiting Tampa to 0 rush chances in a game. So, again, big turnaround from game 1 last year when they got pelted 8-2. We mentioned last show. It's a tight series, guys. It's a tight series.
What did Alex say? I forgot what you said about Tampa, but you call the Islanders the immovable object?
The saying was like the immovable object versus the thing. I'll find the exact saying of it. Hold on.
Okay.
No, I was taught like.
I remember.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I insist, Sash.
I was talking to you last night, right? And like even New York, in terms of goal scoring, like they've scored quite a few goals. Like they're not all 1 or 2 goal games as this theory out there is. Like they've put up goals. What they do really well is stop people from taking high danger shots. Like that's what's happening here. It's not, oh, they only score 1 goal and just completely stop until, you know, Tampa Bay may score a goal or 2. Like it's just, I think this idea, like they play really good shutdown defense, and then it's like, well, they can score if they wanted to. Like Kyle Palmieri didn't necessarily work in the regular season, but he has looked phenomenal in the postseason.
By the way, Daniel, it is the unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
There you go. Thank you.
And then I think a big thing that we saw too with this incredibly boring series is that the Isles, Tampa, if you look at their series against Carolina was a formidable team. There's a reason Rod the Bod is a finalist for the Adams this year. And that's because Tampa narrowed it down so hard that they were able to, like, they only led, I think, 21 minutes, or sorry, they only trailed 21 minutes total in that series to Carolina. And then in the first game alone against New York, I think they trailed 23 minutes was the stat. I know, wow, how prepared am I? But despite that, I mean, it just goes to show you, yes, I get it. There's an argument. You haven't played this team all year. You're getting used to, but that shouldn't be an excuse, right? It's still it still goes to show you that New York they're here to play. They're not here. They're in this for real. They're in this to win this, and they're trying to destroy that narrative of, oh, we're only going to win we're going to score a goal to start off, a very lucky goal, and then we're just going to shut them down the rest of the game. So,
see, I don't know how valid of an excuse that is. Because they played last year, right? They've also played in the regular season, not necessarily this year, but last year. I'm not giving anyone. No, I'm just saying people using the excuse of Tampa Bay or them not playing in the regular season. I would argue that the way Tampa Bay play and their actual players haven't really changed from last year. And I think for the most part, what the Islanders have, with the exception of a couple players, is also the same. Like, yeah, you add Zajac and you add Palmieri, but for the most part, those two lineups are very similar. So to say they play very similar style, they play similar styles to what they played last year. So I don't know.
The same coach, but they're still having the same game plans.
Like, I'm not entirely sure where that argument comes into place.
I think it's people just think they're boring, and honestly, like they the way they play is something that I guess you think about Tampa, and like the way, like everything is just set up where they have those fun plays where they're just so fast with everything. And I think with the Islanders, just when we mentioned that system, when they don't have like that star guy other than Matt Barzal, who has proven us wrong as well with his skilled plays and everything, where he's still going for it. It's just something with the Islanders. I don't know. I don't know why I've doubted them, even though they've also, what you've said, been here. They've been here before. They've shown that they have the ability to get there. And again, like what I said before, Barry Trotz, he was my pick for the Olympic team, and it's because of this.
Just, by the way, looking at Tampa's playoff record, I don't think they've lost 2 straight games all playoffs.
Wow.
Just mention that. And by the way, how Braden Point continues to be a madman. Talking about excuses, by the way. People are still not quite over this Tampa Bay cap situation. Now, I just want to make a little point here before I throw it over to Alex. First off, Julian Breezeball is a G. I think we said the other episode, he should every year win GM of the year, especially this season after what he did at the deadline, like Savard for like $1 million, ridiculous stuff. So can we think back to last year? So what was Toronto? We're at $95 million or a $95 million cap hit. So they did that. without losing a single technical roster player, I believe. So that would have been the Nathan Horton contract, which they had because Columbus didn't insure the contract.
Yeah.
So their incompetence, and David Clarkson. Which was hilarious. Tampa Bay, they took advantage of it, and not to mention they used most of that room to re-sign their own players, beside the Savard stuff. But again, none of that went to bring in external help. That was mostly interior players. And they then missed the former 120-point Hart Trophy player for the entirety of the year. And we're still using this as an excuse. Can we stop it? Can we put to bed? And I don't think Dougie Hamilton was exactly complaining about it. I think he was more we lost this. But people that just keep using this narrative, Alex, it's hair-pullingly frustrating.
It is extremely
we don't want to have Nikita Kucherov. We want it to end in third.
Well, I think people are looking at it the wrong way, in that the Lightning are somehow going around the cap, when in reality, it's the league has the worst cap system in history.
Yeah.
I think most people would agree with that statement, right? Would the four of us be in agreement that this NHL salary cap system absolutely sucks?
And again, it's not like they're the first team to do it. We've mentioned the other example, 2013, where was it the Blackhawks get Kimmo Timonen at the deadline, but Patrick Kane's technically injured until the beginning of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. This has been going on for a while. Tampa just mastered it.
Yeah.
Think about it like this. Why would the league, who loves parity and loves forcing everyone being on an equal field down our throat, they literally go back how many times, and we can talk about it. Why would they let Tampa Bay say, yeah, our player actually isn't injured, but we're going to keep him on LTIR? This is the NHL we're talking about, the quote unquote most even league ever. And do you think they're just going to let this happen? I can't see this argument. I really can't.
By the way, I'm counting it. I think it's a rough quick count. 12 teams this year did not use LTIR out of 31. So everyone else did. It's just Tampa and at the same time, Tampa using this system was smarter than your GM. What's the famous saying? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Remember in the summer after they did the CBA thing, and they wouldn't let Toronto pay for the extra training?
Yes.
And then it was why? Because Arizona and the Florida Panthers can't afford to do this? There's five.
You need to tell me my prospects can't work out here in the summer because other teams can't, because they can't afford it.
Because the Arizona Coyotes can't find a stable owner.
They're too busy doing it when they're interviewing their prospects.
Yeah, literally. Oh my God, it's infuriating.
Well, lads,
I'll tell you guys a funny thing before we get on to the next one, if you want. Ryan Whitney goes and tweets, "If I'm Barry Trotz, I would have refused the power play. He knows deep down that goal shouldn't count. Character is what you do when no one is watching." I was crying with laughter. The best was, it wasn't even that. It was the responses. "If I was John Cooper, I wouldn't play Nikita Kucherov. He knows deep down that he shouldn't play a player who's $18 million over the cap. Character is what you do when no one is watching."
Love it.
just
And they're doing this without Minnesota legend Marian Gaborik.
Whenever I hear that he's under contract there, it's just what's going on here? Tampa Bay have an underratedly funny cat friendly page, because then you're oh yeah, the Vinny why can't I say the Vincent LeCavalier stuff, the buyout there. It's almost like when you go to the Rangers and it's God, why do when the Rangers have 5 buyout? What's going on here? Speaking of the Rangers, I didn't even mean to do that.
Wow.
They have hired Gerard Gallant.
Finally.
Mr. It's you're like a baseball player. Every inning there's a different thing going on. Right now it's the bottom of the 7th. You've got your Rangers sweater on. If I was clever, I could make a Jays bullpen joke, but I'm not going to do it.
Okay. We're going to clarify this.
Yes. Okay. Please.
Thank God.
I'm purely joking when it comes to me being like a Sabres fan or something or a Sens fan or all. You know this.
Are you though?
Yeah, but
I am. Man.
if
Get
we
out
break
of
it
here.
down,
Get out.
we can't ruin the veil of the bit. We can't kill the bit.
Yeah.
I am going to kill the bit because people are going to think I'm a bandwagoner. I don't want people to think I'm a bandwagoner.
We can't stop people from knowing the truth, Mike. That's just
Anyway,
unjournalistic.
My
Mr.
first team, first team I was raised watching was the New York Rangers.
So as you say that with the Leafs thing in your background.
Yeah. He's been a New York boy forever. The Jets thing's there.
Anyway,
Or the Giants.
I'll tell them to get rid of this in the office.
Okay.
When my parents get home, just get rid of it, please.
Gerard Gallant, though, decent
Been a while.
coach. Yeah, it's amazing that he was off the market for so long. To be honest,
I know. That's just such a hype signing, and I
Yeah.
think it's so funny how it comes full circle because I know back when Quinn was hired. They were talking. I'm trying to think about the story in my head. There was David Quinn was talking about the type of team he wanted to build when he was first hired in 2018. He was talking about the kind of roster, the kind of team that he wanted to build, and he pointed to the Vegas Golden Knights, the expansion team, the Golden Misfits that came out of nowhere, made an unprecedented run to the Stanley Cup final as an expansion team. And that is what David Quinn said, basically just as he was hired in the summer of 2018, that he wanted to model his team after that. That's the kind of character he wanted to model. And now 3 years later, the coach replacing him is the coach that gave that Vegas Golden Knights team an identity. Arguably, obviously, you had the pieces there, but you need the coach there, and that was Gerard Gallant. And now it feels to me like full circle that now he is the coach of the New York Rangers, and I'm just stoked to see it. Really,
It's the circle of life.
yes.
if I remember seeing a tweet properly, he didn't even talk to Buffalo, right?
No, he did not.
or New Jersey. I think last year, right? Last off season before they hired Lindy Ruff.
Yeah, and there
He
was
approached
Everyone
the,
wants to talk to New Jersey. We Alex, you know this. I don't like New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't. Just
Man,
saying.
we
Whenever-
love New Jersey and Buffalo.
whenever it's like, yeah, head coach Lindy Ruff, you're like, why? This isn't like 2000, whatever. Weird, really, really weird team. We'll get to them in a second because there is Buffalo connections there, but damn it, the transition was so good, but we can't go there yet. It's weird that after everything, again, that he did in Carolina, never forget it was Florida, sorry. But I think it was in Carolina he got fired and had to take the cap. Yes. What a so weird. If only he had goaltending in Florida, he probably would have but he would have been in Quinn those shoes. Not just what he did in Vegas, but it was coming back from the World Championships that really rose his stock. Not taking William Karlsson into a 40-goal scorer in that defensive core that had like Lucas Spiza to the Stanley Cup final. It was the World Championships with Nick Paul and Connor Brown.
And I mean, it was a
sport.
firing that I'm sure the four of us can say we were pretty confused about.
Yeah.
Right? Like it came out of left field. Like Vegas, I remember hearing about it and I was like, what? Gerard Gallant is not the problem. Obviously, advanced stats are hit and miss with people. People either fall them, but the stats were there to prove that a lot of it was just puck luck, unfortunate bounces. They were going to rebound and start playing like they would. But I mean, you could take that with a grain of salt because that's what was supposed to happen with a certain team in the playoffs this year for their stars, but it didn't happen. But I digress. That's what happened with the
Don't hurt me.
with the Knights. So I was like, whoa, right? I'm sure you guys were like surprised by that firing as well.
Yeah, for me, what I kind of felt was what Vegas kind of knew that they wanted and like how short of like a stick he had.
Yeah.
with them, like to the extent that they went on that weird slump, and then it's like you're out, and that still really confused me. Again, it's a 4-year-old franchise, and like the amount of success they have, I understand, but it just again with Gerard Gallant, where he really did help that system, like he helped build that system.
No, I think you're right. You're spot on. Like it felt like all they wanted was Pete DeBoer, and they were kind of just searching for a reason to let go of Gerard Gallant.
I know.
Like how Bowman was he wanted to fire Quinville, but they were just so good that he couldn't. And the big thing, you remember, you talk about stats, Mike. If you look back, the number one reason he was fired is because Marc-Andre Fleury turned into like a rutabaga for a few games, and his save percentage just dropped.
Really bad for a while. I do remember that. It was a shell of his usual self.
Can I tell you a funny story about coaches getting fired that were really good?
Sure.
So when Claude Julien was the coach of the New Jersey Devils, he clinched the division for them, right?
Yeah.
And like 2 days before the start of the playoffs, Lou Lamoriello fired him, and he assumed coaching duties because he said that he didn't prepare them for the playoffs.
You know what's really funny is you talk about clinching and division stuff. When he was hired in Montreal, they were first in the division, and they won the division under Therrien. Was really, really, man, that whole carousel. Julien's had a really weird career. I wonder where he ends up, by the way. That
Because
would be
he doesn't
interesting.
call his lines. That's why everyone is always firing
I
him.
still can't believe it. Now it makes sense why there are so many games where like, oh, why is KK playing 11 minutes? He was too busy watching Phil Deneau play. God damn it. Claude Julien. What a weird guy.
That was one of the most interesting things I've ever heard. All those interviews are like, yeah, he doesn't call lines. You kind of just got to like do it on your own, or like beg him to tell you to go out at some point.
So New Jersey here, a little quick fire, because somehow the silly season reports are already starting to come out about big moves possibly on the horizon. We'll talk about Dougie Hamilton a little bit here. Hyman, Spezza re-signed to Toronto, Eichel, all that stuff. But first, to get out of the way, because I'm very confused about this. And when Rachel Dory was talking about it, who used to work for the Devils, that's when you kind of think, okay, so this is kind of legit. Apparently, the Devils are interested in Rasmus Ristolainen. The way that they've been going the past couple of years, I felt like they were going in a very much an analytical sense. That was my understanding. And the reason I mentioned there's nothing wrong with analytics. Like there's not. It's every team has an analytical department now. Like it's the norm.
I think except Edmonton, they just have one guy.
Yeah, it's just the one.
I think the Ducks have two guys.
Yeah, and look at where both those teams are.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then when you look at Rasmus Ristolainen, who I think if you look at any hero chart, or any war chart, the only stat that is in blue for him is his goals per 60. He's not like a defenseman bait. Like playing it forward, I am baffled by this, especially going into the expansion draft where like PK Subban's already starting to do work for ESPN. So how much longer is he going to be around playing after his contract's up next year? Apparently they like Ryan Murray. Butcher's a good player. Severson's another good player. And apparently people were talking about trading him. I know on this podcast, Mike and Alex have had some back and forth about Damon Severson before. But Rasmus Ristolainen? Like, we all want him to get traded because Buffalo, and maybe there's some Buffalo effect to him, or there has been his entire career because it's always kind of been bad. But why? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no.
I want to play 4 forwards.
It sounds like it. Like, they must see something that we are completely missing.
Stats not available to the public.
What I kind of feel
don't know
the way he plays, and I think at this point too with PK's career, it's like PK Subban light to me.
PK. Like
I know he.
Talk about reasons to trade someone. They were waiting for a bad PK turnover to trade him back in like 2016. But like PK's not that bad defensively. He was not great. A lot of turnovers, but he's not that bad.
I know. I'm just saying, like it is the kind of thing where you bring in a guy where he has kind of the same type of play, but like to a much lesser extent. So for me, that still baffles me. He's going to play the right side. So I think like that's where like half his value for Rasmus Ristolainen already is.
is a weird sport. Mike, do you want to rip New Jersey for this decision or this possible this target that they seem to have?
I think they suck. Straight up, they just suck. I don't know. Like, I think it'd be a weird trade. Like, you mentioned it right there. I mean, the only way I really see them getting him is if they're replacing PK. Other than that, I don't see any reason. I know the hockey writers recently put up an article saying that they think that New Jersey should go after Reinhardt.
Griffin?
And if we're talking about Buffalo and New Jersey, but yeah, hey, Dan.
Because I'm thinking of right hand shot defenseman.
Listen,
I know,
Reinhardt's
but like,
good.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. That catches me by surprise. I wouldn't. Plus, New Jersey, they have a couple of other issues to shore up, like, maybe getting some forwards,
Or-
getting some goalies.
Forwards over the age of 26, because the oldest forward they have on their main roster, 26 years old, is Andreas Janssen. Like, what? Like,
Crazy.
you need some experience. This isn't NHL 21. You can't just ice a bunch of rookies. I mean, that means they have plenty of young forwards to trade to maybe make the trade possible, but weird players. So before we get to Dougie, before we get to Jack Eichel, we might as well talk about this news now. James Myrtle, I think, kind of broke Leafs Twitter today when great article, always from James. Myrtle, this appears to be the end of Zach Hyman as a Toronto Maple Leaf. I'll just read you a quick snippet from his article. Whatever the path, it felt like there was going to be a way to get things done. Unrestricted free agency opens 6 weeks from today across the NHL. There remains time for the above to be true and for two sides to meet and work something out. But the more I've talked to people around the team, that being the Leafs, in the weeks, maybe I haven't finished the sentence and I'll mention the Leafs. Since the Leafs season ended in ugly fashion, the less that feels like that's where we're heading. And this is all in reference to Zach Hyman. In fact, it feels downright unlikely anything is going to get done. Multiple sources say they don't believe any talks of substance had happened, going back months. No progress was made on extension talk at any point, really, going back to when Hyman first became eligible for a new deal last year. And this is a really interesting part, and I think hearing these numbers, I'm not surprised if maybe this goes out the Leafs range. Other teams and agents around the league believe Hyman can now command close to $6 million a season on a long-term deal, an unthinkable sum only a year or two ago. Now, throughout the article, he talks about the Josh Anderson deal being a reference there, and that's 5.5. I want to say that's 6 or 7 years. I feel like I'm looking at the look of Mike's face right now. So I'll throw it to you first, Mike. Hearing the possibility of Zach Hyman, and there's still time for a deal to be worked out, but based on that article, it's not looking good that probably one of the most important forwards on the Leafs team looks to be leaving.
Hey, man, I mean, if CJ reports it, that never sounds good. Especially if Myrtle's writing about it, then oof.
Oofa.
The double down.
I know, like, it sucks, but the reality is, yes, he scored at a really good rate, and he took a huge step forward this year compared to what I expected, and whatnot. That he rightfully so has earned himself a payday, but the reality is the Leafs can't afford 6x6, or honestly, when I first thought about why, like a year ago, about how other teams would beat out the Leafs in signing Hyman, I really thought it was, like, for the longest time, I thought it was going to be about term. Like,
Same.
you're not going to sign him to a 6-7 year contract. And so that's where I thought they were going to get lost. But now to show you that he's been so well now that people at 29 years old are willing to sign him for that much for like that tenure for like $5-6 million. That's absurd. And it sucks. I mean, Hyman has been a very important part of the team since he joined or since he was his rookie year in, what was it, 2016? Yeah. And he's taken off ever since. He's proven himself to be one of the best two-way guys in the game. but and just relentless on the forecheck. But yeah, if it's a sacrifice you got to make, then yeah, it happens. It's hockey, the business.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Alex.
I mean, yeah, everything that Mike said is on point like usual. But I think a lot of people I've seen quite a few people talking about, if Marner took market value, this and that. And I don't think that changes much.
No.
Like, let's say you get back an extra 2.5 million. Like you're looking at this off season and you're losing, like even if you lose Hyman or you keep Hyman, you still have to find a second line left wing that the team looked for months until they got Nick Foligno. And unfortunately that didn't work out as planned. They have to go out and get another goaltender because Freddie's not coming back. And I don't see the correlation there. And I think one thing that I wish a lot of guys on this team looked at from Hyman's time in Toronto is not how he played, but like how he cared 24/7. Like anytime he was on the ice, it looked like he cared. And we saw that progression with Matthews this year. But they're not the same. And I wish there were guys on this team who would take that and move forward, because losing a guy like Hyman is more than just like his skill is minimal. Like, no offense to Zach Hyman. His skill is minimal, but it's what else he brings on the ice. I wish guys on this team would take that moving forward.
I thought you were going to tear up there.
Almost got there.
I like that.
I'm having flashbacks right now because it's like, okay, around $6 million term, guy with no skill, but just a whole lot of heart. Head first into every scrum. Forechecks like a beast. Great teammate. He's exactly like Brendan Gallagher.
Oh gosh.
I think you say Brandon Sutter, like before the injuries.
I thought you were going to say Milan Lucic. So
Or like
all the base.
No, I went for a good player. I didn't
okay.
go for the twilight of Milan Lucic. No,
Sorry.
I was not going there.
Okay.
But again, like what I kind of feel with it is I love Zach Hyman. I like what he brings to the ice. I like the type of teammate he is. But the only thing is, again, what Mike said, he's 29. That contract is not gonna age very well once he gets into his 30s, and the way he plays. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna be like this. Yeah,
you can't just keep crashing your body for that many
years. It's kind of like no problem. It just, for me, I think about, and it didn't really affect them too much, but when I think about cap hit and term, I think about Joffrey Lupul, where, it was a similar kind of situation there where they signed him to a long-term deal knowing that there were those injury issues, but he showed promise there. And I know the Leafs were at a different time then, but it's just that kind of thing where it just did not age well at all. I'm not saying he's going to have that media hoopla like he did on Instagram, but like, it's just something where I think with so many needs that the Leafs have and the way they are with their cap, that they have to move on and address everything else like internally.
It's a big hole, man. I can't even. I'm not going to ask the question. Who do you replace him with? Because it'd be easy if you could.
What did I say? Rodion Amirov.
Yeah, you would joke that he would.
That was funny. That was good.
You're John Tortorella.
Yes.
Amirov.
You know what, Mike? I was in the same camp as you, because I think any sort of actual cash, any money, he would have made that as a Leaf no matter what. We've talked about that so many times, but I think the one thing I always thought at the same time, it was term, because it's at some point with athletes, it's not just about the money, it's about how many kicks at the can you get. And if you look at Zach Hyman, was it the MCL injury he had in the playoffs a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
The knee injury that he got earlier this season. That's something he has to talk about in his career. Corey Perry was talking about it. That's an older guy, and he was talking about it with Christine Simpson in an interview the other day. You only get so many chances at this thing. It goes by like that, careers they've talked about, different players. So I don't think anyone's going to jump on him. I don't think anyone's going to argue how much he's worth. Because again, comparables. Sorry, I don't mean to make it about Montreal, but if you look at the type of players, they talk about Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher. The best thing that could have happened to Zach Hyman was Bergevin giving those two deals out, because those are the perfect comparables for him. And every time I think we talk about contracts, it's sometimes I think people are just like, some guy's worth $3.5 million. No. An agent doesn't go and say, I'm worth this. You get a comparable, right? Mm-hmm. I have a buddy of mine who he works with the Capitals, right? And he has a thing to do with Ilya Samsonov's contract. So what he gets told to do is he has to look at those RFA comparable goaltenders. So it'll be like Nedeljkovic in that. You know what? Again, good for Hyman, man. Like, great guy. Children's storybooks and all that. We all love him. Great guy.
What's the predictions you guys think he's going to? What teams?
Anaheim.
Edmonton's going to overpay the crap out of him.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Like, I would put money on that.
I'm going to say Seattle. He's going to be like their big free agency guy.
No, I don't think they do that. I think it's going to be Doug Hamilton. We'll get to that in a second, though. Well, I'll quickly run through some teams here. Carolina, probably not. I think they need a more. I'd say, you know what? If they lose Dougie,
yeah,
I don't think they need more skill. I think they still need some offensive kick, and I feel like they don't have a Zach Hyman type player.
That's fair. That's a good point. That's a good point there.
All I'm saying is that Nick Alberga had the best tweet about it.
What was that?
What's that?
Zach Hyman and a conditional 7th round pick for Greg McKegg. That's the tweet.
I just had a thought about a team that I thought he could go to. It's escaped me, though. Wait, okay, hold on. How about this? The Rangers.
I was kind of thinking about that, but no.
Because you see where I would see it from is like they want to get tougher, right? But then but if they get Eichel, you could probably say the money would be a bit too complicated.
When
they get Eichel?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll save Dougie then. I guess we can move. Actually, wait. Hold on. Before we do that, I almost forgot. Jason Spezza re-ups with the team, $750K. I think we all knew it was going to happen.
That guy wears his heart on his sleeve.
He got the bonus. He got the pay raise.
Yeah.
What was it before? Like flat 700?
Yeah. He gets an extra 50 sheets in the bank.
He did it.
Respects. He's only made how many millions in his career?
I know. Yeah.
I'm searching that up right now, actually.
Okay, good.
I'll say 88 million.
Let's put it over under.
I think it's over 90. So if you want to make that
really
90,
I forget those Dallas years. Yeah.
Well, Alex, you're wrong. Actually, it's 88.
What a surprise!
87 million. So
wow, I was close.
What a surprise.
Okay. So Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
Pierre LeBrun had his he just put this little notebook out that was just kind of the rumblings notebook, I think he called it. One of the things was it doesn't, I think I'm paraphrasing here. It doesn't matter if it's the Stanley Cup semifinals. Jack Eichel can still get traded. Talked about it seems to be things are getting really serious on the Jack Eichel trade front. Some of the teams he mentioned it's all the normal ones. It's Anaheim for some reason. LA were in there. Minnesota, we all know. But I mean, if there's a team that's going to be out there and they're on the hunt, we've heard nothing but New York since last summer, where Bob McKenzie randomly showed up and he's like, yeah, but it's when Bob McKenzie comes out of semi-retirement in the middle of the night, it's like Eichel, the Rangers like him, and just leaves again.
From the cottage.
How old is Jack Eichel?
24.
Perfect. He fits in Bob Murray's plans. He's between 23 and 28.
Oh, that's true.
So he fits it in.
I don't know. I don't know. I have this feeling that it's gonna break this week or something. That something is gonna happen.
Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't.
I have a feeling. I have oh my gosh, what's his name again? Paul Fenton. I have a good feeling about this guy. Remember when he got Kevin Fiala?
I'm surprised how often you get a mention of Paul Fenton onto this show.
I don't know. I wrote an article on him. Just like the things he actually did, other than Victor Rask, have all panned out.
Speaking of that, go check out all of Daniel's stuff with Hockey Writers.
Thank you.
And then read it again and again. And then go to the next article and read it again and again and again. And then maybe another time and the time after that.
I think it'd be very interesting if, I mean, you know what? Another thing I see too now with the Rangers is that they're gearing up to make a change. Unfortunately, Jimmy Dolan has waken up and decided to be a part of this team now again. And he wants to get the ball rolling. And what better way to do that, to accelerate this rebuild that he thinks isn't going fast enough, apparently, because rebuilds happen overnight now, than bringing in Chris Drury, who is a very capable, very sought-after GM, bring in arguably the best, definitely one of the best free agent coaches available. I mean, they could have Babcock, but it's okay. And
Is that what you want? Another one of your teams with that coach?
And, you know, they're just priming up to change that roster, change that culture of blue shirt hockey. I mean, the old regime is gone. You're going to lose a guy like probably Colin Blackwell or Kevin Rooney or something in the expansion draft. So you're not going to lose a big piece. I think this is it. I think this is the time. Like, Eichel to the Rangers, man. Eichel to the blue shirts.
Mike,
I'm telling you, man, if they get him, I'm also saying this here, I am done with the Leafs. I'm done.
Sounds good. So no more watch parties?
No more watch parties.
Unless it's the Rangers against the Leafs.
We can get the watch parties. We can get the watch parties if you buy the Madison Square Garden channel like I will. But
yeah, that's not happening. I'd rather pay $8 a day for AHL TV.
TV.
No, I was thinking about this today during work. And do you think James Dolan is going to push so hard for Jack Eichel because he couldn't get Kyrie and KD to come to the Knicks?
To compensate for that.
Like, you gotta think
sports
there's
to compensate.
How about this? If the Islanders win the cup,
Yeah.
and there isn't a trade done, yes. Because like, think about it. I'm sure there's a bit of his ego that's like, we stole Panarin from them.
That's fair.
So I feel like if the Islanders can make a lot of noise, and he'll be like, I don't care what it takes, go get him.
That's fair.
Because what I'm fascinated about looking at a potential Eichel trade is what the return is. Because I think you have to think it all depends on what the end, like what Eichel decides to do with that injury. Whether it's he gets the surgery or they go with this whatever other professional opinion there is about the rehab or whatever. I'm not a doctor. None of us are. If I said 27 minus 17 right now, none of us would know because we're journalism students.
Well, Mike's actually a doctor of hockey. So.
Yes, doctorate of hockey.
Though I wonder.
I haven't said it here yet. I haven't said it at all in this pod.
I know. That's why I'm trying to keep it going here. When Alex was like, so I agree, Mike's points were on, like always, I saw Mike sit up and I'm like, God, don't let him do it, please. Anyway, though, but you got to think it's a healthy Jack Eichel. People would talk about the conversation of, all right, I want Lafreniere. But you're not going to do that without knowing what his neck is.
That's the thing, too. A big thing is no one knows New York's stance on the injury or how they would fix it, whether it's letting him get that surgery or rehabbing it, because that was the biggest disconnect between, well, one of the biggest disconnects between Eichel and the franchise. And I saw a couple reports from a couple places that, you know, are kind of just like fan sites and stuff like that are like, I was informed that the Rangers were not likely to pursue Jack Eichel based on his neck injury. And I was like, I've never heard of you, so I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. But it does raise a valid point that, you know, a big thing is, how would they treat it? I mean, are they going to be on the same page? They're going to bring in Jack Eichel and be like, dude, we will do everything you want, but we won't let you get your surgery. Like, it's a huge narrative. It's a huge and really important thing when considering it, because like they can not manipulate, but that's definitely something that they could use in their trade talks, right? With Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
And that's huge. Like, hey guys, listen, like if you're not going to trade him to us, like this team here, this team here, this team here, agrees with you on what they want to do with his path in terms of not getting surgery, and that's just going to screw you guys over. So just give him to us before he doesn't get traded because you guys want max value for him, and then he picks his own destination. So the clock is ticking.
That's a really good point, Mike. That's a very, very good point that we have often forgotten to mention on the show is his contract stuff.
Yeah, well, I know everything about hockey.
And there it is. Okay, good. Thank you for coming on, Mike.
Yeah.
You know now.
Come on, man. You threw that to him. You just
No, I did not. I was complimenting him.
yeah, that's where you started
Damn it.
wrong.
Okay. Final thing to talk about tonight. Dougie Hamilton. Apparently, he's been given permission to talk to other teams for the possibility of a sign and trade so we can get the 8th year on that contract. There's a few things I have here. As I realize that my notes have a drawing of a duck that I drew. Anyway.
I like your artistry skills.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. So, because you said that, this is a side duck that I drew. I'll try and find Pikachu in a second here, but as I am...
We use that part of the show promotion so I could put it on Instagram.
What?
The Quack one? I like that one.
I,
Like, remember we did the Kraken one? That one was great you made.
oh, yeah, I am an artiste. So, one thing... Okay, wait, hold on. Here's Pikachu, guys. There he is.
Oh. Looks sad.
That's because he realized I'm not a good artist. Anyway, so I look at the Dougie Hamilton situation, fellas, and I think, first off, Brady Shea does not look great. Man, they could probably use that money to re-sign Dougie.
I still never understood that trade with them.
It was
Like-
just like, we want him. We'll
They
go
got
get
Jake
him.
Gardner in the offseason. Like, okay, we already paid this guy this much money, and then let's do it again, knowing that we have to pay Dougie Hamilton.
Well, I thought they got Shea first.
Was it Brady Shea? And then
It's just whatever. It's like there's a defenseman, we want him. But at some point, it's starting to cost Carolina a bit. Now, I have two teams that I'm wondering if they kind of look at Dougie. Friedman's had this hunch about Seattle for a couple weeks. He's mentioned on 31 Thoughts, the podcast, the blog before. Another team, which I think you mentioned them before. They want to shake up their defense. Who better to do that and make a crazy move like Holmgren and the Flyers?
Yeah.
Or are we forgetting someone? Does he end up going back because he doesn't like the offer? But like it's Philly, they're nuts. But in Seattle, have a clean slate and blah. And I'm curious about it. But then if Seattle do it, I'm wondering if there would be in a Seattle trade. Let's focus on them. If there was a Seattle Carolina thing there, that would mean that they're protected for the rest of the expansion draft. That would be a condition of that trade.
Oh yeah, that's a good. That leaves them not having to expose Dougie Hamilton. And let's say, I think when we did that expansion draft little thing, protecting Jake Bean or someone like that, someone along those lines instead of losing him. So like that is a possibility. And I don't see why he wouldn't want to go to Seattle. Like I'm not comparing him to Marc-Andre Fleury, but I'm saying that's a guy you can market around in Dougie Hamilton, who's
You
in
bring
his prime.
him to the draft and he's there. He has the
Yeah,
jersey.
exactly.
And he's the guy.
Like that's
And-
exactly what you do.
He'll get treated like a king.
Do they have museums in Seattle? Probably.
I've been to Seattle a couple of times. It's not that great.
No, but do they have museums specifically?
I'm
Yes.
sure they have museums. Yeah.
Perfect. That's
the
what he
history of the
likes.
Sonics, the Sonic
Perfect.
Museum.
That's what
yeah.
he
Yes. Yes. Here's
Hedgehog.
one that I'll propose.
Let's hear it.
I actually have two. Well, one is tricky because if you want to trade him, well, it's hard for a team that doesn't have assets. But I mean, look, Columbus is going to lose Seth Jones. So if you want to make up some room there, or Philly is still looking to make up for the fact that, as I famously called, they were going to be in shambles when they lost Matt Niskanen.
He'll never concede. He always remembers. He's like an elephant sometimes.
Oh.
Because I love it's like I mentioned Philly, but he's like, okay, right. I gotta mention how I was right, and then mention Philly again. So he's no, I could see Phil. Like, listen, the right side's pretty important. Again, we talked about Ristolainen and like how the hell like that. It's because he's a right-handed defenseman. Columbus is like, if you're making that trade, like, why is Dougie Hamilton going to say, you know what, I'm going to sign in Columbus? Like, unless it's like we guarantee we have Laine locked up and like that's the next step. And then maybe they use some of their draft capital to make a big. But it's Columbus. I don't see them doing that. And like if you're Dougie, it's like, man, who cares? It's Columbus.
But I want to go to a team that's not competitive.
Exactly. Yeah. And that guy, I think if you're Dougie Hamilton at this point in your career, this has to be the last stop. It's like the way he's been treated by so many teams is such crap.
Especially Calgary. Yeah.
Boston.
Getting traded for Zachary Sanchin.
Like he just wanted to go to a museum. People, the whole thing of his the thing of his brother. Like, well, the Flames are always incompetent too. Like, look at them, they're bad.
He's gone through a really weird. Yeah, he's gone through a lot of just like he hasn't battled injuries. He hasn't battled anything in particular. He's just battled people, management, media, and for what really? So, yeah, I mean. I don't even know how to compare it, but yeah, I mean, you don't want to be a journeyman your entire career. I mean, you want to have, especially look how long it took Robin Leonard to finally get some security, and that's if he has security, because is it sustainable to have two goalies at that price tag in Vegas? But at the end of the day, these players want security. Dougie Hamilton wants security. He's had a couple years in Carolina now, but I mean, look, it's what's happening now. This is it. This is where he wants to lock it down. So
I look back on the initial trade, and I know it helped the Hurricanes become competitive again. But I just look back on that now, where they're potentially going to lose Dougie Hamilton, and Noah Hannafin hasn't been what we thought he would be, but he still has room to grow. Elias Lindholm's been pretty solid, and I look back also and like, man, can you imagine if they had Dougie Hamilton and they kept Adam Fox?
Yeah, well, he
didn't want to stay. I know there. He wasn't.
I mean, talk about Elias Lindholm. Carolina needs scoring. He might be able to score, so might be helpful.
So, if I ask you guys right now, you have three options. He either stays in Carolina, he goes to Philly, or he goes to Seattle. Where do you think he's going to go? Mike, then Alex, then Daniel.
Are we saying that he has to go somewhere?
Well, Carolina. Okay, what if Carolina, Philly, or Seattle? Damn it, Mike! I literally said or Carolina.
I know. I was reading something. Sorry, that's -1 for me. Honestly, I think the best bet's that he stays.
Okay.
I think. I don't want to say it's a game of overhyped versus underplayed, but I think they've got a pretty good thing going there with him and Slavin. Like Carolina is going to remain competitive as long as they have Rod the Bod, as long as they have that kind of roster, and it'll cripple them, I feel, if they get rid of Dougie Hamilton, who was, I mean, remember, he was a lock for the North before he had that terrible leg injury a year ago. So I say he stays, and if he doesn't, something chaotic will happen. Like he'll go to the Oilers, but I think I'll keep him in Carolina.
Why would he go to the Oilers when you could have Tyson Barrie?
What if that guy wants to move on?
Fair. I think he's going to go to Seattle. I think if I'm Seattle, if he can't work something out in Carolina, I'm like, okay, Seattle, like, why would I not go to Seattle? Like, there's so much potential to be, if he wants to be the guy, like, go. Like, this is your moment to be the guy in Seattle.
There's a thing about being the guy, though, but do you want to risk being competitive? There's no way. Well, I mean, I guess you can't really predict anymore with what Vegas did, but I really feel like what Vegas did is so unprecedented that you can't just work off that. You can't just say Seattle is going to hit the mix and be a competitor, or even be a middle of the pack team. So,
that's a fair point.
I mean, like, I get it. Like, if he wants to go and be the guy, like, he will be the guy if he goes to Seattle. It's a matter of, we don't know Dougie Hamilton. We don't know him as a person to be like, does he want to go be the guy and risk, not having a competitive team and being at the bottom potentially, or does he want to keep doing what he's doing with Carolina or another team?
The thing with Philadelphia for me is the reason I see them more going towards Seth Jones is because they have to get rid of a contract, like one of their not great ones, to make a move, because like Sanheim's up, Hart's up, Nolan Patrick's not good. Like, who knows? He might not even be there if they don't protect him. Like, if they want to change that team and come back next year and hopefully be competitive, how much can you give to Dougie Hamilton in free agency without trading a contract?
Daniel, go ahead. Where do you think he's going?
Okay, so I have this weird scenario that's gonna happen. So it's gonna mention a team that you did not list, but it's gonna be an honorable list. So I think he's gonna. Okay, so I'll see it this way. It's gonna be like he knows the perfect situation for him is Carolina. It's worked so well. Like Jacob Slavin's there. Like everything just worked out for him, and he should sign long term there. So I feel like he's gonna leverage that with Carolina, and then everyone's gonna think he's gonna go to Seattle because of this and be the guy. But then somehow, because of the way the expansion draft went and the way that they were able to get rid of cap and everything, I think he signs with Colorado.
What? Okay, hold on a minute.
Whoa. With what money?
Like. So first off, that would mean
I had to walk there for a second. Jeez.
Like,
so first off, that means that.
and then Saad's gone, and then what they do is they let Seattle go. Like, yeah, you know what? Take one of our defensemen.
Do you have like
Eric
a
Johnson has to go.
when you edit this, Alex? Do you like throw in like hot take alerts?
I don't, but I can.
Colorado. You
Wow.
think he's going to end up in Colorado?
Yeah.
Fair? I mean, wait, so Alex, who did you say?
Seattle.
Daniel, you said Colorado. Mike, you said he stays?
I say he stays put.
He stay.
He stay. I'll say Philly just so we can all be decisive here and just be whatever. But yeah, knowing Philly, there'd be like, declining Seth Jones all of a sudden. That was really quiet, by the way. It was legit. 1 year it was Norris Trophy finalist. He should be. Then it's like, he's bad.
Why no one wants to stay in Columbus?
Yeah, it's just so weird. So weird. It's just.
Now you're gonna tell me Patrick Laine is not a power forward.
Oh, Daniel.
Stop, please.
By the way, when are people going to start saying that Zach Hyman's going to Boston?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, if he goes to Boston, I'll be devastated.
Shipping him to Boston.
Like,
Does he get booed?
No, I don't think there's anything he can do to get booed.
So,
It'd be brutal.
And I'll ask this then always, and this time we'll go Daniel and Alex, then Mike. Where does Zach Hyman end up? Toronto, Carolina, or Boston?
I want to say Carolina, but I'm not gonna lie. Boston always does this. Like when they get that gritty guy, they always throw term at him. So it's like, I think of Matt Bolesky. I think of David Backes.
That's a bad one.
I think of Jimmy Hayes, Leafs legend.
Yes.
And I wouldn't put it past them that they'll do something like that again to just keep extending the window.
And then he ends up in Tampa Bay. Alex, where does Hyman end up?
If I had to pick from those three teams, I can see Carolina going after a guy like Zach Hyman because it kind of fits exactly what they need.
Interesting.
They tried to do that with Ryan DeZingle, I remember.
They did that, yeah.
Mike, where does Zach Hyman end up?
Of those destinations, yeah, I could see Carolina benefiting the most. Boston could pull something and it would be heartbreaking, but actually it wouldn't because I'm not a Leafs fan anymore. But Yeah, I would say Carolina would be the best fit. I mean, anytime you have a guy like, what's his face? In the playoffs, I saw Brock McGinn playing on the first line.
Yes.
That puck retriever to Sebastian Aho or Teuvo Teravainen. Yeah, no. That's where Zach Hyman's specialty would be. So Carolina
I'm gonna
have those options.
okay. I'm gonna go Carolina because I put the dots together so well, and you're all going with it. So when he signs in Carolina, everyone needs to know that I obviously was the source.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you almost know about as much about hockey as I do. Yeah,
I think
I could have came up with that scenario as well, but
I
I
think
probably
that-
would have if you didn't.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know,
I think today's episode should be named Non-Leafs Fan Mike.
Today's episode should be named "Happy Birthday, Kevin Francesco Bieksa."
Giving out. Oh, I'm like, are you honestly shouting people out, random people out on the
Kevin
podcast?
Bieksa, yes.
I didn't know it was gonna be Kevin Bieksa.
how old is he today?
40 club.
So that's why Ron McLean was trying to make fun of him. Because he's old.
Yeah, because he's
Getting
super
up
old.
there.
He doesn't really look for it. No, he kind of does. He's weird.
He's
You told me
always
he
looked
was
like he looks 40 when he was like 25.
He's like Gordon Ramsay. It's like from age 35 to 55, he looked the same age.
Gordon Ramsay.
We don't want to make Alex censor anything, so let's not get too deep into Gordon Ramsay because I feel like Mike and I will go back and forth for a few minutes on that. Don't
Not
get
just about the eggs.
raw. That's what I got given at the pass. Who gave me the pre-cooked stage eggs, Jeremy? Anyway. Oh, what a pumpkin. Like not kilo pumpkin, like cute, but like what a actual literal pumpkin Jeremy was. Okay, with that, that's everything for today. Mike, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We haven't had you on for a long time.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Yeah. He made time for us today, so we appreciate that.
Even though you didn't follow the process and reach out to my my agent first, but it's okay.
Who's your agent?
Paprison or
Oh.
JP Barry.
As long as it's not that guy.
Glenn Walsh.
Not Alan.
No, he means Darren.
The other
You know
one.
what's,
The other
you know
one.
what's really funny to think about in an all-around way? They talk about Anderson's contract. Who's his agent? Darren Ferris. Who's Hyman
that's
going to
a
use
Darren.
as a comparable? Darren Ferris's client. God, he just ruins everything for everyone. Enjoy him, and I can't wait till Victor Mete holds out on the Sens over the summer. Never forget. Okay, with that, Mike, I hear you have a podcast. Why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, you could catch us on Spotify, Roundtable Pod, where I get mad and say things.
Yes, I did.
Great episode about the Euro yesterday.
Let's go.
Check it out. Thanks for letting me plug.
Yeah, no worries, man. Anytime. Check out Daniel's stuff for the No, not the eye opener anymore. You can go and check out his old eye opener stuff because, of course, then go to the Hockey Writers and read every article 16 times because it's kind of like Shadow of the Colossus. Is each time you defeat one of the Colossus, you take another step forward to realizing that no, because you're the bad guy in that game, and Daniel's not a bad. Daniel is like the nicest guy I know. Like the rest of us are like we're terrible. Daniel's the best.
Not great.
Like Daniel's just like. I don't know how we got Daniel into doing this show. He could do so much better than us.
No.
No, he's so humble. But check out all the stuff for the Hockey Writers. Great stuff with the Minnesota Wild. Check out my YouTube channel. Realized I'm late on doing the HFR for game one, but whatever. Alex's blog, where, I remember I think it was the first thing you ever written. And it was you were making fun of the Habs about Ilya Kovalchuk.
Was I?
Yeah, I think you joked like they should have kept Ilya Kovalchuk. And it was like, God damn it, Alex.
Oh.
Ilya Kovalchuk. He's coming back. I think that's everything. Check out everything about the show. TikTok's the thing now. That's pretty fun. Facebook, because we always remember we have a Facebook. YouTube to see all our beautiful faces and just all of the collection of fandom in Mike's background of this office. And his great hair. He's got some great hair, Mike. Great hair. Big flow.
Haircut. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you look good. It's fine. Voice Ed, as always, great platform for the show. We appreciate it. Beside that, we will see you Sunday. Today's Wednesday. Yeah, it is Sunday when who knows what's happening in the hockey world. Maybe there's a trade, maybe there's not. Maybe some teams are eliminated. Hopefully not, unless it's Vegas. They can go. No one likes them. Mark Stone's really good, though, and he's totally not going to be bad tonight because that's how it works. Anyway, we will see you later.